welcome to FBL. Once again, we are joined by another candidate, this time Greg Smith from the Conservatives in the Buckingham area. So where are you now, Greg?
We're in Chandon, which is a village that is in the middle of the constituency towards the north, which is a village that will be very badly affected by HS2 if it goes ahead.
That's a big thing, HS2. There's a lot going on about in regards to that. So what can the Conservatives give to the people of Buckingham? Because it's an interesting seat. We have obviously John Bercow stepping aside from the leader of the House, and now it's up to you to take the torch, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, I'm the only candidate from a political party on the ballot paper who lives in Buckinghamshire. It's my home. It's where my wife and I chose to settle down and bring up our family. So I really care about the place, and it's ambition to be the most local, accessible member of Parliament possible, who will get his elbows out, roll his sleeves up, and actually really get things done for this area, like delivering East-West Rail and stopping the damaging and hugely costly projects of HS2 and the expressway.
And what else are you looking at attacking if you get your position?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
So, what else are you looking at? I mean, you mentioned HS2. We've got Brexit, obviously, as well. So where do you stand on that?
Well, we've got to deliver Brexit. We're 3.5 years on from the referendum. 74 million people across the country voted for us to leave the European Union. And because of the hung parliament we've just had, politicians have just spent years and years saying what they don't want, but not getting on with the democratic mandate given to them by Britain. And so if I'm elected, I will absolutely back Boris Johnson's deal that will get us out of the European Union by the end of January and move on to getting those fantastic free trade deals, not just with our friends across the Channel, but also the whole world, so that our economy can boom, our businesses can have certainty, we can trade all around the world without tariffs.
Okay, so totally for Brexit, you totally back Boris. You've spoke to people door to door. What have they been saying to you?
People want us to have certainty. People who run businesses need certainty. The general public are fed up with politicians just going round in circles, arguing over what they don't want, but not agreeing to what they do want. And with Boris's deal, there is certainty. If we have got a majority Conservative government, we can get that done by the end of January and move back on to the things people are actually talking about. They're talking about the health service, and we're proposing £33.9 billion cash injection to the NHS, the biggest cash injection in its history, pledging to bring in 6,000 more GPs to cut waiting times to see a doctor, 50,000 more nurses, building 40 new hospitals around the country. They're also talking about education. Next year, because of this current Conservative government, Buckinghamshire schools are getting a 6.2% increase in their funding to ensure every primary school has a minimum of £4,000 per pupil and every secondary school has a minimum of £5,000 per. And on crime, we have a rural problem here in Buckinghamshire. The county lines drugs gangs are preying on our vulnerable teenagers. Rural crime is a serious problem for a lot of our farmers who are seeing their quad bikes and their tractors and other agricultural machinery stolen, and of course that's not something they can fix overnight and just get a replacement the next day. It's when they lose equipment like that, their businesses are knocked out of line for days or weeks on end until they can get back on track. So we're pledging 20,000 extra police. I will get my elbows out and make sure Thames Valley, our local police force, gets a share of that.
Okay, that's the first time I've heard anybody talk about that with the farmers. The farmers are getting hit, and they're getting hit hard, and it's just unfair.
Absolutely.
Especially the cost and the work that they do. So it really is outrageous and unfair. HS2, quickly go back to HS2. What's the people saying where you are? Is it going to go through your area? Is it going to be?
It is.
Is it going to impact badly?
It is. If HS2 goes ahead, not only will it cost the country, all of our taxpayers, £100 billion, but it will absolutely devastate the countryside. People have already had to leave their homes. People's farms are going to get cut in two. The beautiful countryside we have here in Buckinghamshire will be devastated, and that's why I am absolutely, totally and utterly opposed to it. And I actually think there is hope. that we can stop this monster on the environmental grounds, but also on the fact that for £100 billion, it's not actually going to deliver any practical benefit. There's no benefit to Buckinghamshire. There's no trains that stop here. But equally, with reports that the trains will have to run so much slower, and it means it starts in anymore. It starts in Ealing, and it doesn't even stop in the centre of Birmingham. It stops at Birmingham International Airport, which is in Coventry. There's very questionable benefit for the people it's meant to serve.
Oh, okay. So, who pushed forward for the HS2? Was it Labour or Conservative?
It began under the Tony Blair government. Lord Adonis, who was a Labour minister, came up with the idea for HS2. I put my hands up and admit that Conservative governments under David Theresa May did push ahead with it. But actually, when it's gone to votes in the House of Commons in the past, the Labour Party are totally signed up to it. The Lib Dems are completely signed up to it. Their manifesto says in black and white they want HS2 to happen. And actually, it's Boris Johnson, who's the first Prime Minister we've had since HS2 was conceived under the Blair-Brown governments, who has stepped back and questioned it and ordered a review. And in every media interview he's given, has said that he would question whether this £100 billion price tag is worth it.
Okay, very interesting. We'll touch back on that some other time. Okay, so I'm giving every candidate a 2-minute window. So if you're up on a doorstep, somebody opens it up, you've got 2 minutes to try and sell, in a way, what you can deliver and what you are. So your 2 minutes begins now.
Okay. Well, first of all, Buckinghamshire, it's my home. It's where my wife and I chose to settle down. It's where we care most passionately about. And I want to get things done for our area. I've already managed to persuade the government that the expressway road is a bad idea that would devastate Buckinghamshire. And Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, has announced that the expressway will not go ahead under a Conservative government, that East West Rail will, and there'll be a pot of money to improve our existing roads. So I've already proved that I can get things done for the area. And now I want to move on, move the bigger mountain that is HS2 and get that stopped, get more police on our streets, vote for Boris's Brexit deal so the government can actually get on with the priorities of everyday life, of day-to-day government, that will deliver the extra money for our hospitals, put the more doctors in our GP surgeries, get more money for every pupil in every school, and most importantly, keep the economy strong so that there's a job for everyone who wants it, that people keep more of their hard-earned money after payday, and that we increase the pay of the lowest paid by putting the national living wage up to £10.50 an hour. Because it's only if we've got a strong economy with high employment that we can afford world-class public services in the first place.
Virtually 2 minutes. Well done. Congratulations. I think might be over and I haven't got a stopwatch, but 24 you started, 26 it finished. Well done. Congratulations.
It was close.
It was, yeah, it was good. Well rehearsed. I don't know, obviously not rehearsed. That's why I've thrown it in to a few people, just to get that. Now, I did speak to Andrew Bell earlier, and he was saying about, I found it interesting, I hadn't stepped aside, still obviously wants to show the party, that they were still there, the Brexit party. How do you feel? I mean, he's backing you, as in saying, if you can't make your decision and you really want to push it through, then obviously vote Conservative, vote for you.
Yeah.
But would you not have rather he not just stood for a candidacy?
Yeah, of course I wish the Brexit Party weren't standing in this election, but they're a democratic part of British life. They are a registered political party, so if they want to stand, that is, of course, their right to do so. Now, the Brexit Party stood down in every Conservative-held seat, and of course Buckingham is a Speaker-held seat, and that's why Mr. Bell chose to stand against me here. But at the end of the day, a vote for the Brexit Party, a vote for the Liberal Democrats, a vote for Labour or the English Democrats who are standing here, or indeed the Independent, votes for all of those will only result in one thing, and that will be Jeremy Corbyn in 10 Downing Street, because if the Conservatives don't win seats like Buckingham, then there's no chance that there will be a Conservative government, and that means the only other realistic outcome will be a Jeremy Corbyn hard-left Labour government.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure you've got loads. You're going to carry on late to the night, knocking on doors?
Absolutely. Every minute is precious.
All right, stay warm, stay safe, and good luck tomorrow. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.